Hey guys, it's Jenny. Welcome back to the Crafting Bookworm. Today I'm going to give you my March wrap-up. Okay guys, welcome back. Welcome new subscribers. Thanks to all of you, whether you're here for books or crafting. Either one of them, I'm just so appreciative of each of your support. So, what did I read last month? I ended up reading 5 books last month, so let's get down to it. The first one we read was The Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This was fantastic, probably my favorite of the series. I don't know what everybody says about the books because I don't really read the reviews, but this one was fabulous. This one we're following Nesta, and she was Feyre's sister, in the preceding books. And I never viewed Nesta as a very nice person. I never really liked her character, but I feel like in this book she really evolves, and you really see the real Nesta coming out. She was very bitter. A lot of things happened in their lives when they were children, and it just kind of, when any of us go through experiences like that, it kind of does, taint our minds a little bit, and we become a little more negative. Well, Nesta was really negative, like over the top negative, and I never really liked her. But when you get to this book, you see Nesta in the preceding book, but this one is just really Nesta. It's all about Nesta. And I just love the way she evolves in the story and how she becomes the person I feel like she was intended to be. And I can't really tell you a whole lot because, this is further into the series and I don't want to give anything away. But it's definitely my favorite of the ACOTAR series. The next book I read was Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. This was not a very big book. This one is covering a girl who was in Haunting and Hunting of Adeline. She was a character in there that you didn't really know a whole lot about until you read this book. And where she comes from is that Adeline, she finds a diary, and that diary belonged to Molly. So you learn bits and pieces about her through the diary, but this is the one asking, where's Molly? Again, very dark, so it's got triggers. Keep that in mind before you pick it up and read it, any of those books, because all of them are very, very dark, very dark. So there's lots of triggers in there, so just keep that in mind when you're reading these. The next one we got here is Genesis by Chris Carter. I did a review on this one. I think I also did a review on A Court of Silver Flames as well. But this we thought was going to be the very last book in the series, but I have recently found out he is working on another one for the series. I absolutely love Robert Hunter. It's the Robert Hunter thriller series, and this one was said to be Robert's most grotesque case, the most violent case that he's ever worked on. And of course, when they find this first murder victim, they don't automatically assume that it is a serial killer. It could just be a single person that is murdering. But in Chris Carter style, it is always more to come. So it's always a serial killer. This time, like I said, it was a more violent. Our predator is a especially violent person, just in everything. And he leaves little parts of poems with the victim. And that's all I'll say about that. So when they find that first one, and then the second murder comes along and they find another one, they're tipped off pretty quick after that it is a serial killer, and Robert has to figure it out. Now this one was played out a little differently than what I thought it was going to be, and I'm not giving any of that away. I feel like it was genius the way that he did it. Again, very fast paced, lots of adrenaline rushing through your body. You're always right up front, right in the scene, and you're right there alongside Robert trying to figure it out. So very, very good. If you don't like those hardcore thrillers like that, where you're up close and personal, then this series probably isn't going to be for you, because nothing is sugar-coated in this series. But I love it. I love the thrillers. I love Chris Carter's writing. Fantastic. Okay, the next book that I picked up was Jack Blank and the Imagination. This is by Matt McClush. Matt McClush. And this apparently is part of a trilogy, but it's a different name. I don't remember what the name of the book is, but it had the same synopsis as this one. So I'll put the name of that book up here, and there's 3 books to that, and I feel like this is actually the first book. But anyway, we're talking about Jack Blank here. He was dropped off at an orphanage when he was a baby. His name was Jack Blank because there was no information left behind, so they gave him that name. That's the significance of that. And Jack was not treated well by the other kids or by, the teachers or whoever was there in the orphanage. They would just, say stuff like, you were dropped off because you're so bad, and things like that. And the kids would bully him. And Jack had a love for comics, and comics were actually not allowed. But he would always manage to get a hold of some comic books, and he loved all the heroes. And then one day, one of those heroes comes and saves him from the orphanage and takes him to the Imagination. And that's all I'm going to tell you, because I could just, let things slip. Those little important tidbits in a story that I feel like you should learn as you're reading. So I don't want to give any of that away. It's definitely a fantastic story. So much adventure in it. I was surprised by that. It was exciting. The flow was great. And before you know it, you're through the book. It is a relatively big book, but definitely fantastic. And I'm going to check further into that trilogy that I saw on this and see if they do correlate. And then the last book that I read was Echo. This is by Pam Munoz-Ryan. You guys, this is one of my favorites of the year. This is definitely a 5-star read. Absolutely love this. In this book, you've got 3 sets of kids, 3 different timelines. And those books where you have 3 different stories going on, but it all ties together in the end? That's this book. I loved it. There are sad parts and happy parts, and this is it starts out set in when you get to the first part of the story, because there's a little fairy tale in the beginning. Okay, this sets out in 1933 in Germany, and this is when it's starting to get really bad, with the Jews being persecuted and gathered up, and those people who are helping them aren't any better, and that kind of stuff. And that's where it starts, and then it gradually goes up. I think the next is 1938, and the final one's 1945. I'm not going to go through there and search for it now. But 3 sets of kids, and it all wraps up in the end. And in the very beginning, like I said, there's this little fairy tale. And it's actually pretty long. It's several pages. And you really get wrapped up in that fairy tale. And this story, what it says is, I gotta put my eyes on you guys. It says, lost and alone in a forbidden forest, Otto meets 3 mysterious sisters and suddenly finds himself entwined in a puzzling quest involving a prophecy, a promise, and a harmonica. So that harmonica is a big deal in the story, just so you guys know that. It's fabulous, you guys. If you have not read this book, you need to read this book. I'm definitely going to look for more from Pam Munoz-Ryan because it was fabulous. Like I said, one of my favorites of the year so far. So well written, so touching, so magical. I absolutely loved it. That is what I read for the month of March. Pretty good, 5 books. Definitely not what I used to read, but I'm kind of keeping my 2 loves, kind of on even ground. So, If you've read any of these books that I have talked about today, let me know in the comments below. Also, what did you read in March? Let me know that as well. That's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for staying tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.